Merry Clashmas, both of you.
Merry Clashmas, Alex.
Merry Clashmas.
Thanks very much. Susan is a 64-year-old woman trapped in the body of a child. Metaphorically, although there's a pitch for you. She has had to grow up fast for some reason and has a mum called Dory who has no problem telling her Santa doesn't exist, which, as we know, is A, something you don't tell a 6-year-old child, and B, bollocks. Turns out, joke's on Dory, as Santa does exist. Or is he just a sick old man with anger issues? Honestly, by the end, I still wasn't sure. Also, I don't think you should call your movie Miracle on 34th Street and not have something magical happen. Don't bait me with the sentence, make this reindeer fly, then not have a flying reindeer. I think the miracle is when a lot of people pack the streets on Christmas Eve, which feels less magical and more regular Christmas Eve in New York. The movie should be called Crowds on 34th Street. Ladies and gentlemen, for your consideration, Crowds on 34th Street. So, the original story actually won an Oscar. It was based on a story by a guy called Valentine Davies, who got the Academy Award for Best Story, which they don't do anymore.
They don't.
And then it was adapted into a screenplay by George Seaton. That is the original. His script was then adapted for this film by the legend John Hughes, who has, I'd say, a pretty impressive track record.
At Christmas.
Well,
always. Yeah.
Festive movies in particular, though, because you've got Planes, Trains and Automobiles, which is obviously Thanksgiving, and then Home Alone and Christmas Vacation and Home Alone 2 and Home Alone 3, which I've never seen, so I can't confirm if it's a Christmas movie, but...
Do you know Scarlett Johansson's in it?
No.
Yeah, in Home Alone 3.
Is it worth watching?
I'm going to have to watch it because the kids are petitioning me quite hard to watch it and I don't want to. But
Have they seen the first two?
They have, yeah.
Oh, fine. Okay.
Yeah, they're really into Home Alone at the moment.
And they've actually written a petition.
Yes, they've written a petition to me. Dear Mummy.
Fantastic. This is a lot of people's Christmas classic. I was doing a lot of reading from people going, this is my must-watch movie every year. And I can see why. 3 words, 8 syllables, Richard fucking Attenborough.
Sure.
That is some casting. It's a truly fantastic cast in this movie. Genuinely, the casting in this film is off the scale. Dylan McDermott, who unfortunately, when he showed up on screen, I was expecting Dermot Mulroney, which is your fault.
It's not my fault. It's their fault for being too similar.
He made me cry. He's so beautiful in this film. We've got a post Mrs. Doubtfire, pre-Matilda, Mara Wilson, post Flintstones, Elizabeth Perkins. You mentioned J.T. Walsh, Robert Prosky, who I first discovered in Gremlins 2, the new batch, as Uncle Fred. He's fantastic in it. Alison Janey in the smallest role, and I'm quoting here, brazen woman shopper. So
Uncredited as well, Joss Ackland.
yeah, why is he uncredited?
I don't know.
It's weird, isn't it?
I don't know. I went to uni. In my first year at uni, I lived with his grandson.
No.
Yeah. And I'm so happy and proud of myself that over the course of that year, I didn't once say to him, diplomatic immunity. Because it's so tempting whenever I think about Joss Ackland to say that.
It's just been revoked.
So let's get this out of the way at the start. Kris Kringle thinks he's a 1,300-year-old saint who can bend time and has invisible workshops in the North Pole.
He's so terribly ill.
So what is your take? Because I watched it and I went back through it in my head and I might have got it wrong. But apart from maybe a couple of things that are still on the fence, is he or is he not Father Christmas?
Oh, for God's sake, you just sap the joy out of everything. Everything!
What?
You're meant to not know. You're meant to be like, is he or isn't he? He could be. Sounds like him. Not sure. That's the point. The whole point of the film is that they try so hard and it hasn't worked on you for some reason, which is more a problem with you than the film, to walk that line so artfully to be like, maybe he is, maybe he isn't.
Okay.
In the original, a line that might be useful here is one of the characters of this story says, faith is believing in things when common sense tells you not to.
Okay.
So it's all about...
And if you wanted like a serious answer, he isn't Father Christmas because that's impossible, but he's the embodiment of, and that's more or less the same thing.
Right. So he isn't. Yeah, got you. Okay, cool. Because I was going to say, if he was Father Christmas, surely in the run-up to Christmas, he should be managing his workshop at the North Pole.
I am unclear as to why he's walking around New York City.
Yeah,
because he's not Father Christmas.
He can't be.
And if he's Father Christmas, why is he telling parents to go to shops to get the presents that he will be bringing on Christmas Eve?
Good point. Well, because he's stuck in New York and he's like, time management. Yeah, I haven't got time to do this right now.
What about the elves? Like, surely, they're
probably working.
I'll tell you what
Well,
I'm
then
hearing.
this is the problem.
What I'm hearing is that you don't believe that Mrs. Christmas is capable of anything because he's delegated, obviously. I'll leave this to you, babe. I'm going to go to New York for a bit.
Yeah. It's not the Macy's Day Parade. It's the Coles Day Parade. And the maybe real, maybe mad Santa Claus has somehow got up on the sleigh and is showing drunk fake Santa Claus, Tony, how to whip reindeer. I'm a bit like anything else. Just it could be anything. Show him how to arrange the presents. Show him how to coax the reindeer into their magical flight. Don't have them going, it's like, fucking this. Really go for them, Tony. I mean, it
is horrible, yeah.
You're just like, don't do that.
Yeah, fair
It's a little massive grin on his face. This is the best part about being Santa Claus. It's not the presents, it's not the children whipping that fucking reindeer. Fucking love it. So I didn't like that bit. Let's meet Susan, the old woman little girl who has left a jigsaw-style video for her mum, Dory, to find when she gets home.
It's very strange.
It's really weird.
Mom, I'm still at Mr. Bedford's. We can see the parade from this window. Slip into something comfortable and come on over. P.S.
By visiting this page, you have decided to play a game. In order to survive, you must save as I save. In turn, you will receive a clue.
Why can't she knows how to write? Just a note.
It's like they were excited about the technology to use it in their film, but it wasn't that new, that
Yeah, that's
technology,
true.
and it just seems a strange reveal.
Doesn't even work. Like the timeline doesn't work because she's left a video going, I'm still at Mr. Bedford's. So she's gone to Mr. Bedford's, gone, I'm probably going to stay late, come home, recorded the video and then gone back to his.
And he's in the video. He picks her up.
Yes, he's in the video.
He's in the video.
So they've both gone there and then gone back to his.
Just leave a note. It's much more Christmassy.
Yeah. I find the Brian and Dory thing super confusing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think they tried to keep it really chaste to be true to the 1947 original. But I didn't think, first of all, I thought he was Susan's dad and they were estranged.
Yep.
So there was a connection there that they then like Christmas would rekindle. Then I was like, oh, he's a friend. He's just a friend and that's great.
Then you thought he was the help, the way she goes, can you just take her home for me? And it's like, he's well dressed for the help.
And then later on they have a kiss and I was like, that's their first kiss, definitely. Because she's a bit like, oh, okay. And then he's like, should we get married? What? What, Brian? What?
Yeah, it's actually took me out of the movie because I spent so long going, who is he
who
to
is
you?
he? And what are the chances that you'd live 2 doors down from some hot dude who likes your kid and wants to go out with you and you're in a position to be like, no, thank you. What are the chances?
I can't believe she's saying no to him.
No.
He acts like a bit of a prat later on in the film, but early on, I'm just getting lost in his eyes.
I think they try and distract you every time you're like, who is this man? Because he's wearing a full sweater and a blazer at the dinner table.
Both
and
beige.
That's bananas.
Both beige as well. Beige knitwear with a beige sports jacket on top.
He's double beiging.
You must be boiling.
But that knitwear, I mean, Dylan McDermott in knitwear, you can keep Chris Evans in Knives Out. This is my man. This is my man. Anyway, let's talk about Susan and her relationship with her mother, because Dory has told her 6-year-old child Santa doesn't exist. That's mad.
Yeah.
That's mad. And I know later on they try and come up with this cockamamie theory where it's like, truth is the most important thing. So I've told her the truth because that's the most important thing. And you're like, that feels like you've retrofitted that to a night where you got fucked up on eggnog and went, yay, come in here, Susan.
Yeah, I hate my life, so I'm going to ruin yours.
Santa's not real. Get mummy another drink.
You, but Santa's not real.
I will say that this movie, for me, could have been just a series of children sitting on Richard Attenborough's knee and him interacting with them for 2 hours, and I'd have been very happy.
And right at the end, for a big twist, they could have put a child in there who's not white. Because this is the true white Christmas, watching this movie.
Is. That whole shop. Yeah.
Friggin' hell. Yeah. Come on, guys.
In New York City.
In New York City, melting pot.
But the scene where Mara Wilson sits on Richard Attenborough's knee, if you could bottle up like the sentiment and the magic of one scene, that is Christmas in a movie for me.
She's incredible. She's
So
just,
good.
imagine directing that and she just nails it. It's amazing.
I don't have a dad anymore.
Is he dead or has he just
No, we
absented
find
himself?
out later that he was an alcoholic and she
that's
married
it, and
in
he just
college.
fucks off,
and he
that's
pisses off, never
Yeah.
to return. Yeah, I don't have a dad anymore. Mostly. I've got one child impression and it is Newt from Aliens.
It's really good.
I mostly don't have a dad anymore. Mostly. And then Dory turns up and in classic Dory style goes, clear off, Susan. There's a long line of customers and they do come first. Are you going to buy anything? I'm your daughter mostly. Cow. So let's talk about him proposing. His character, Brian, has done a real disservice by the script here because he's been really nice, as you said earlier. He's so good at the start. And then the script has him say, I've done everything I could to make you happy. I've loved you without getting anything back. I've never asked for anything in return.
Apart from this.
Excellent! Marry me!
Spoilt, entitled brat having a friggin' tantrum.
You know, I've done everything I could to try to make you happy. I love your daughter like she's my own. I loved you getting nothing in return. Never asking for anything in return. I put my faith in you. It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous. He's holding me back.
It's also like he's had a plan all along. It's like, I actually did all that for this moment, and you're not playing ball?
The script is a bit patchy because it's a bad thing for him. He's like, I've been nice to you, so let's get married. But also, in about 10 minutes, he's like, yeah, I'll get over it.
I'm sure in your line of work you can find some lucky guy to give this to.
They all have too much money because now he's giving the engagement ring to Kris Kringle.
Yeah,
These people have too much money.
They missed a trick there by Chris going, I'm not your type. But Chris, he's in trouble. James Remar and Daphne from Frasier's plan happens, and Tony goads Santa into hitting him with a cane by calling him a pedo.
I mean, he does go for him, to be fair. I mean, he does try. I mean, I know that Tony's faking the extent of his injuries, but Kris Kringle pulls his arm back to whack him and does hit him, doesn't he? He does connect.
It's an interesting one because I couldn't be bothered to do it, but I should have done it because it's really unclear. I'm not sure if he actually makes contact, and I think that's how you get around the idea of it not really being assault.
It's murky, though, isn't it? Because the intent was there.
Yeah, he's not only delusional now, he's also unpredictable and potentially violent. So
lock him up.
the law is doing the right thing now by holding him accountable, I believe.
Yep. Brian convinces Chris to fight the case, saying hitting Tony was him standing up for the dignity of every child, which is another way of saying vigilantism is fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's actually great.
It's a tenuous argument.
You think you think someone's,
calling Father Christmas a pedo, you can hit him.
yes.
He desperately needs help. He's so sick.
But New Yorkers rally round Santa, construction workers rally round Santa, iron workers, 7-Up, all rally round Santa.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
We got to close a few streets. Ka-ching! And now the movie becomes a courtroom drama. And so the judge is going to say he's not Santa, despite wanting the opposite, because he says as a representative of the state of NY and New York, he can't find a way to vote in Chris's favour. And Brian's all like, money has corrupted you. And the judge is like, he doesn't need a bitter epilogue from his attorney.
Yeah.
He needs a miracle.
And money will provide that miracle. Good job he's got a wallet clip, isn't it, rather than a nice purse? Otherwise he'd never have made that connection.
Yep.
So the idea is that the federal government has put its faith in the existence of something without demanding physical evidence. And if it's good enough for the government, then it's good enough for the state of New York to do the same, thanks to the collective faith of its people.
Okay, I'm just really impressed that a mainstream Christmas movie, happily compares Santa Claus to God in America.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's quite an interesting move because, studios are always so like,
Yeah, I agree
do
with
not
you.
want to upset the Christian cinema goers.
Yeah.
So the idea of going, we do it with God so we can
Yeah.
do it with Father Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's also a very complex argument to have as the climax for your kids' film.
Yes.
It is.
Is it in the 40s version? Because it's a very 40s thing to have happened where she's like, I want a brother. And then her mum touches her stomach like, oh, we had sex last night, so maybe I'm already pregnant, which is a very 40s thing to be doing.
It's not quite as obvious as this, but this scene did make me think of another film because it feels like the daughter and the dad and Santa have all conspired to put this baby in her stomach, and it felt very Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
It is
I agree
funny.
with you.
It's funny, though, when Brian leans in because he says to her, if Chris said he'd get you something, then I bet it's already on its way. Which is like him basically going, I totally had sex with your mum last night.
my sperm in there.
That's what it is. Like it's a joke for us, the audience, going, boinked her.
Spunked in that.
It's vile. And also, even if she doesn't get it, she's like, I'm going upstairs now. She's basically, so you two are better be at it under that tree or I'm going to be mad.